welcome. My name's Sam and this is the Little Greenhouse Creates. Thank you for joining me today and welcome to our final card for this week's stamp set of the week, Sunshine and Tulips. So it is Friday, so it's a funky fold. But if you haven't seen what stamp set we've been using this week, it is this beautiful stamp set which comes with a matching die. It's a bundle. You can get them separately. There are 10 images in the stamp set and there are 10 dies in the dies. I suggest that if you pop back to Monday or Wednesday's videos, you'll see a bit more information. But for now, this is the card we're going to create. Now, this is called a Quad Z Fold card. It's, oh, excuse me, it is quite it's a pop-out card, as you can see. It folds into a normal size envelope. It stands like that on the mantelpiece and would look like so. But obviously we've got the flowers or the tulips down on the, excuse me, right-hand side. Okay, so let's bring in our supplies. So I have got a piece of, bear with me, this is cloud cover. This is 10.5 by 7.25. We will score that in a moment. I have two pieces of designer series paper, both the same size. They measure 1 3/8 by 5 3/8. I have a piece of bubble bath. This measures 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. I have some scrap strawberry slush, and then I have a piece of Secret Sea, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which is for the big die of the tulips. I have a sentiment strip, which measures 1 1/8 by 2 1/2, and I have an adhesive sheet. So I am going to get the stamping out of the way very quickly, and then we can get on with the scoring. So I'm using the Happy Birthday from the Long Time No See stamp set, which is the one with the llama. But you could use whatever you've got in your stash. Let's stamp that up. Straight down. Oh, hopefully that didn't. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, so that's all the stamping out of the way. And now we need to put that over there to dry. We're going to do the scoring. So we're going to bring in our cloud cover. Grab hold of our trimmer. And on the 7 1/4 side, we are going to score it at 1 1/4. So let me get my bone folder. So I'm going to score it at 1. Oh no, 1 1/2. Apologies. Let's do that again. A 1 1/2. It's good we're not going to see that line, isn't it? 1 1/2. Okay. We're then going to move it along to 3 inches. And we will score it at 3 inches. Okay, we are then going to turn it onto the 10 1/2 side, and we are going to cut ourselves 1 1/4 inch strip off. So that's 1 1/4, and we're going to do this 4 times. So we've got 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, right, there we go. Do I need to do anything else? Let me see. Let me just double check. We are doing 1 1/4. Perfect. Right, that is it. So on the 7 1/2, on the 7 1/4 inch side, you're going to score it at 1 1/2 and 3 inches. You're going to turn it to the 10 1/2 side, and you're going to cut off 4 strips that each measure 1 1/4. So this is now your card, and these are now your Z folds. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to make sure we fold it back on the right line. Get our bone folder. There we go. Right, perfect. Okay, so the thing to do next is to, we are going to put our, Zs on. So you've got your stripes this side, or your score lines this side, like so, but you're actually going to, so they will have come off like that. You're actually going to turn these round so that the folds here are on the correct side. So they're now on the right hand side. So you'll have 2 score lines on the left hand side, and when you add these, there will be 2 score lines on the right hand side. Hopefully I've made that a little bit clearer. Okay, so let's do that first of all. Right, so I'm going to take my glue. I'm going to put a bit of glue here. I'm going to take this and I'm going to add it to the top, making sure that it is right up against the left hand side and right up against the top. Okay, and I'm just going to leave this bit to float. Okay, so that's the first one. Then I'm going to do exactly the same. Bend it and bend it. So my right score lines are on the right hand side. I'm now going to do exactly the same to the bottom. So I'm just going to add a line of glue there. Make sure that lines up to the left hand side and is flat against the bottom as well. Okay. And I'm going to leave this bit to hang. Okay, so now we've got this gap, so it makes it easier for us to decide where the other 2 are going to go. So one will probably go there. Fold these back. And one will go there. I want to make sure that there's enough gap between, or evenly spaced between the 2. And I think they are. Okay, so I'm going to take that one off. And I'm going to put some glue here. Take my thing, make sure it is flat against the left hand side, like so. Okay, I'm happy with that. And then I'm going to do exactly the same with this one in the middle. And that goes straight up like that. So we've got this nice even gap between all 4. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to fold our lines over, make sure they are all burnished, which they are, and then I'm going to add the glue and hopefully make sure they line up equally to there. Okay, so what you can do on this time is just put it on here. Okay, I'm going to line it up, make sure it's straight, hold it for a couple of seconds, and then I'm just going to bring this over and make sure it's up against there, which it is. So that's nicely balanced. Okay, so we're going to do the next one. So again, we're going to put the glue on here. We're going to bring it over, make sure it is up against the edge, and then we're going to hold it in place, bring it down, and make sure that that is folded. This way it makes sure that you're going to have no buckling. Okay, so again on the third one, bring it out, straight across, hold it in place, bring it across, and then you can hold it down. Okay, that's the third one. And then the final one, I do exactly the same. Okay, let's bring that down, making sure it is up against the bottom as well as up against the side. Hold it in place and bring it down. There we go. Right, so we have now got the basis of the card. So we're going to take our first piece of designer series paper and we're going to run it all the way across those 4 folds that we've just glued down. Okay, so I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal for that. I will put the name of the designer series paper, let's do that a little bit higher, on the QR code that you'll find at the end of the video. There we go, that's better. There we go. So that's one. And then we're going to do exactly the same on the other end. Okay. You will find, as I say, the QR code right at the end of the video, which has all the supplies that I have used today. There we go. So if you don't have a demonstrator and you would like one, then I would be, and you're here in the UK, I would love to be your demonstrator. Right, okay, so that is our base card sorted. So the thing we need to do now is we're going to take our Secret C, and we're going to run it through our cut and boss machine, and we're going to use this die, and it's going to come out looking like this. And we've got all of these hearts and tulips, which we won't use. I'm going to put those aside for a second, and we're going to focus on this piece. Now, taking our bubble bath, we are going to layer it behind the flowers. So really, we just need to put our glue along the bottoms, like so. And in reality, we're only going to use 3 lines, not all 4, but we will use one of the extras on the 4th side. You'll see as we go along. Right, so I've put the glue on, and I'm just going to place this down onto the top of the die cut. Put it across. And as you can see, we have got the heart. The tulips are now in the bubble bath. So bringing in the strawberry slush, you're going to put a slice of this adhesive sheet onto the back. I'm not actually going to do that for today. So when you then bring in your tulip heads, which are these, 1, 2, 3, you will need to run these 3 through 4 times so that you have got the die for all 4 of these rows. Okay, they come out looking like that. So you've got the there we go. You've got the outline, and then you've got the infills once they've been run through the cut and emboss. The next thing to do is take a pointy tool, and let's do the first one. You're going to peel off the back of the tulip where the adhesive sheet is. It's so much easier to do it this way than try and put glue down. But if you don't have adhesive sheets, then you can use glue. You're going to place the outline into your tulip, which now gives you a shape. You have the 3 pieces that sit in the middle. I'm going to take the top of the first one, peel off the inside or even the back side, and then that will go back into the top here, like so. Okay, then you're going to do it again. Take the backing off of the, there we are. Thank you very much. Let's get these out. There we are. Again, we're going to pop that into the inside of the tulip, so it gives you the outline. And this time I'm going to put the sides on the tulip. So let's take the backing off of that. There we go. So that will go into there. And then the other one will go on the other side. Let's see if I can get it to. Oh, come on. Try the other end. Yeah. One end is always easier than the other. Not sure why. Okay. Now, when you've done this all the way down to the bottom with all of your tulips, it's time to cut them up. So bringing in your cutter again, we are going to cut down the middle between the petals of the two tulips. Okay, so you've got one there, like so. Then what you're going to do is you're going to cut this down and make it 1 1/8. I'm going to take this edge off. I don't want to take the, there we go. So you're going to make it 1 1/8 in width. Then you're going to turn it and you're going to do exactly the same, 1 1/8. Okay, in depth. 1 1/8. Okay, I'm going to do that with all of those. And then you're going to take your other ones. Now these are going to stay in 2s. So you're going to cut that. And again, you're going to make it in height 1 1/8. Let's do 1 1/8. 1 1/8. There you are. And we're just going to cut this one off. And you're going to cut it down to make sure that it measures 2 3/8. Okay, so when you've done the cutting on all of those, it's going to look like this. Now I'm going to try and keep these in pattern order, because as you will see, there is a slight pattern to these. And as I said, I don't need all of them. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to work out where we're going to put these. So my plan is to put my happy birthday, I think, there today. Okay, and then I'm going to put tulips there. Tulips, actually I'll do tulips there, tulips there, and tulips there. Okay, and then you're going to have one tulip here, one tulip down here. Let's make sure I'm doing this right. You're going to have one tulip there. Right, that tulip is in the wrong place, so bear with me for a second. Let's change these round. That's going to go there. Why it's best to put these. That will go up there. That will go there. And then that will go there. And they are now in their correct positioning. Okay, and all we need to do now is to stick them down. So, multi-purpose glue, and pop it down, making sure that either side is as even as possible. Okay, and do the next one. Actually, let's stick that down as well, because that should be in place. Great. And we're going to tuck this one down. Let's make sure. I'm going to try and aim to have them as level as possible with the one above. And the gap at the same. And then we're going to do the same with this one. And then all we need to do now is to add our backing on this one. And then all the way down. This card works, or this design of card works so easy with so many of the other stamp sets. So even if you don't use the tulips, you could still use the same design, and instead of using the tulips, you could use designer series paper, because that would work as well. There we go. And of course, if you wanted to, you could also change the infills by just choosing a different, running the hearts, the tulip heads through on different colours. You could make it as wacky as you wanted to, or as simple as you wanted to. So there is today's funky fold. So thank you ever so much for joining me. I hope you like these. We'll be back next week with our next, let me bring those down so you can actually see them. It's always a good look. There we go. We will be back with next week with another stamp set. So do join me then. Take care. Bye.